Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today we're going to talk about ICP and what we're seeing on the chart, because the way things are looking, like, it might be one of the strongest looking charts in crypto. Now, obviously, I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, XRP's up 400% in the past month and ICP's only up, 100%, boohoo, right? But like, that to me is part of the strength of the chart, if you ask me. And so we're going to like dive into that a little bit, talk about it a little bit more, all that type of stuff. And so anyway, let's go ahead, dive right in and check out what we're seeing. First off, looking at crypto bubbles, what we can see, pretty mixed day in the market overall. Obviously, it is like, Bitcoin did break 100,000. So this is obviously like a very major thing that's happened. We can see Bitcoin up 5.4% today. I think it might be blocked by my picture, but we can also see the Ethereum up also 4.2% today. So things looking pretty good there. We can see a couple others up pretty decent, Jasmy being one, which is good. Finally nice to see Jasmy kind of running a little bit, just because it had been kind of quiet for a little bit recently. We can see, IOTA, Tron, HTX, XRP down decent amounts. Again, XRP's been up so much lately that like I don't really think it's too bad. We are seeing ICP down 2.5% today. Honestly, kind of a rare red day, at least lately, for ICP. We've seen a pretty just strong and consistent growth on ICP. So it's good that like we are seeing a little bit of a pullback. If you are a major ICP fan, possibly time to maybe DCA and get some extra to discount if that is something that you're looking at. What we can see here is obviously, very, very strong move to the upside. We can see like from the lows here early on in November, up about just over 100% here. So things looking really good. We did see a little bit of a wick here, and this is kind of like a cross candle. So we could maybe be seeing a little bit further of a pullback. I think if we see a pullback, it's possible maybe we come back down to like the $12 range, just because that pretty much since then it's kind of been up only. We haven't really seen any major levels of like support or resistance. Obviously, if we can kind of hold in this range that we've kind of put in so far, that'd be great. We just kind of have to see, kind of how things unfold. Things are looking pretty good though, as we can see overall. I mean, pretty decent build from here, a little bit of a pullback, major squeeze. And obviously we saw that breakout here. And then ever since, we've pretty much just been pushing kind of the top of the Bollinger Bands. We did kind of break outside of them a little bit here. Nothing too crazy. I mean, otherwise it's just kind of been following itself on the way up. Another thing I want to mention here is we can see that, look at the volume. I mean, the volume has obviously was relatively consistent back here. We saw it kind of drop a little bit down in this like period of like hyper consolidation, and then we actually have seen volume on ICP like going up pretty steadily. Not something that we see a whole lot within the crypto space. So this is looking really good. We also can see the RSI. We are in the overbought range, so this is kind of adding some some potential support to the fact that we may be seeing a little bit more of a larger pullback here soon. I do think if we see Bitcoin do a little bit more of a pullback, we'll definitely see most of the alts do the same. And so this is something to consider as well. One of the things that I'm kind of doing right now is just kind of keeping an eye on where we're at. I took a little bit of profits up here, not a ton, just because I think we are very early on, and ICP's been looking really, really strong, like I said, lately. So it's nothing that I want to like really commit too hard to, just because there is so much kind of going on within the ecosystem. But now I wanted to compare this chart to something like XRP. Obviously, XRP's done really, really well lately. So people might throw me a little bit of flack for using XRP as it's kind of like a what not to do type of example. But I think if we look at just kind of the fundamental chart and how things are looking here, it becomes somewhat clear. I mean, obviously you can see, because the price has gone up so crazy, the previous price movements basically look like nothing. And almost shockingly, what we are seeing here is volume has gone down dramatically as price has gone up, which is a little bit interesting. We've already started to see a pretty decent pullback, nothing too crazy overall. This is about probably close to about 30% top to bottom, maybe like 25% top to bottom. So overall, not too major of a pullback. We can see, breaking out of the Bollinger Bands here at a couple different points. I think when we broke out of the Bollinger Band here, this is when I was pretty confident that we were going to see at least some move to the downside, which we did, just because whenever you break out of the Bollinger Bands, you never stay out for too long, right? So that's kind of what I was expecting to see, is kind of something to this degree. We can see also RSI way overbought. It's actually come down a little bit. It's not as overbought as it was, but it's still overbought from what we were seeing previously. I think, again, I think this makes sense. Overall, I'm not super impressed with like how the XRP chart looks. I just don't think this looks like a healthy move to the upside. I think if we don't come back to the $1.50 range, I would be very, very surprised, just because when we see moves like this, usually it's very straight up and very straight down. So I would kind of expect that. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. I have no idea. Maybe XRP does go to $10, $15, $25. Some of these ridiculous, in my opinion, ridiculous price targets that some people are calling for. Maybe it does happen. I have no idea for sure. But I just think like this type of thing to me doesn't really look super healthy. I mean, I guess you could say it's potentially healthy because you could make the argument that nobody's wanting to sell. Yes, maybe, but I don't know. This to me looks a little bit manipulated in my opinion. But again, you have to make your own decision there. Going back to the ICP chart though, we can see it's very, very different, right? I mean, obviously the move has been less, but volume's going up with the move. We're seeing that like the move is a lot more reasonable. It's following like pretty decent like technical things that you would expect to see. Nothing really super crazy happening. I think overall, like this, I'm pretty happy with what we're seeing here. So if you are interested in trading Bitcoin, ICP, Solana, XRP, even for that matter, if you want, feel free to use my link in the description below. I have partnered with BTCC for another month. They are still doing the 10% bonus on first-time deposits. So if that is something that you are interested in taking advantage of, I'd say, I mean, it's a fantastic deal. I mean, it's basically 10% free money, right? So if that's something you are interested in, I would say feel free, go ahead and do that. This is in addition to the $10,055 of bonuses you can qualify for per new user. And then also what we can see here is, been trusted for 13 years, basically longer than most of us have been around, 300 plus crypto futures, up to 500x leverage. I don't ever use 500x leverage, but if that's something you're interested in, you can feel free. And then also no VPN or KYC necessary if that is something that's like appealing for you. So like I said, if you're interested, feel free, check the link in the description below and go on ahead and get signed up. Now, the next thing I want to take a look at here is a couple different Twitter posts that we've seen. One very recent, one not so recent at all, but something I kind of wanted to just like use as a reminder. But what we can see, this is very much, I think it's crystal clear. I know that I've kind of complained about it a couple times. I think there's a larger kind of push within the community to kind of get some more social presence, things like that. I know I talked about, kind of this Twitter post or the Reddit post circulating about trying to get Dominic on Lex Fridman's podcast. I think that would be fantastic. But we can see essentially coming straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, that, Dfinity, ICP, the whole crew, Dominic, everybody, like nobody's really been paying KOLs, paying press like reports, all this other stuff that like crypto companies do that we see, these ridiculous moves to the upside for. And obviously like ICP's price has kind of gone nowhere over the past couple of years. And I think that's been very much like a frustration of people within the crypto community. However, as we can see, money went to R&D and now they're years ahead. And I think this is very clear to see. I think it's very fair to say. I don't know that anybody would really contest this statement. We can see it, clear as day if you look at what we're seeing with XRP and Cardano specifically. We made recent videos talking about them and how they're essentially looking at in the initial like exploratory phases, i.e. basically recording a Loom video and drawing some graph on a charting software, and that's kind of like where they're at in terms of like tech development for like essentially unlocking the value of Bitcoin, right? Well, ICP already can do it. It's already done it. It works. It's here. Very, very different positions, right? But these companies are starting to draw a lot of attention for essentially unlocking the value of Bitcoin. I'm a full believer that like, yeah, memes might do well, whatever, but like I think this is a Bitcoin super cycle. I think, especially given the political, governmental, institutional, financial, all that type of legitimacy that is coming to Bitcoin, I think there's going to be an arms race essentially for all of the alts basically to try and unlock the value that's sitting on Bitcoin. Basically make it more expressive, allow people to maybe stake their Bitcoin, lend on it, all this different type of stuff, but just do more with Bitcoin. And we've seen, as I posted in those earlier videos, Cardano's talking about it, XRP's talking about it. Well, I mean, we have a whole bunch of Bitcoin native solutions with, a lot of inscriptions and, Bitcoin layer 2s, all this type of stuff. They're all working toward it. There's been a lot of things that have been coming recently, and ICP already does it, right? So this is major news in my opinion. And this is something where I do start to wonder, like, when do we maybe start to pivot out of this R&D only and start to at least do a little bit, I'm not saying pay people for marketing, anything like that, but at least build a little bit more of like a social presence. I mean, I talk about ICP constantly. There's a lot of other people in the space that talk about ICP very, very frequently, if not totally constantly as well. Like, there is the demand for people to essentially just talk about this organically. So just give them stuff to talk about, right? I mean, that, in my opinion, is like, they're not really doing that yet. And that would be something that would be a major, major boost to their overall ecosystem. The other thing we can see, you know, this is a very, very old tweet, but we can see that like people kind of get what ICP is trying to go after here, right? I mean, obviously ICP, major throughput, Cardano, like, they do somewhat better throughput, but not anything close to ICP. Ethereum, not really. Solana's, you know, doing pretty well, but you know, their blockchain goes down kind of all the time, and so that's kind of, you know, a little bit of a riff on that. But we can see like there are people taking notice, at least more recently in my like X timeline and all this type of stuff. I've seen a ton more people focusing on ICP being the like faster blockchain and it being recognized as the fastest blockchain, all of this type of stuff, which I do think is really good overall for just ICP, but for the overall crypto space too. I mean, there's been I think maybe a lot of suppression in terms of like hiding what the actual fastest blockchain is. I think if you asked the majority of people within crypto, they would tell you it's probably Solana, which is obviously not true. So there is a level of like general like market education and like brand awareness and that type of stuff that I do think needs to happen, that we haven't really seen yet. And so that's something that I'm hoping that we can see from the ICP team. Obviously, I'm trying to do my part with that, things like that. But overall, you know, that I do think that that's kind of the next iteration of what we should see from ICP, in my opinion. Obviously, you know, I don't work at ICP, so, and they probably don't even watch my videos, but that's fine. That's my opinion anyway. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and subscribe, because it really does help me out. I do try to talk about relevant and interesting information within the market, and so if you do watch it, obviously, you know, comments, likes, all that type of stuff does kind of let me know that you're watching and you find this stuff entertaining. If you do have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, a comment really does help. I do try to read and respond to all of those. If you have anything you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.